professor of political science at Hiram College. What stood out to you, first of all, Jason, in this speech?
Well, I felt like I was listening to the second debate all over again with Obama and Mitt Romney. It's the same thing. He's making the same argument. John Boehner's making the same argument. I think this really just boils down to which side is going to give, because he didn't say anything new.
He didn't say anything new. All right. But do you have a newfound optimism that they're both saying, okay, we're willing to talk about this? Do you really feel like they're going to put their actions behind their words this time and try to compromise?
I think so. The day after the election, John Boehner got up and said, look, we'd be willing to accept some revenue increases, which is the dirty word for taxes, under some circumstances. And that's what needs to be the case. All the sort of Grover Norquist, I'm not going to agree to any taxes under any circumstances, that was part of why the negotiations were so acrimonious last time. So I do think they're going to get something done. Nobody wants our weak recovery to be ruined by this fiscal cliff.
Okay, here's my question. One of my questions to you. President Obama said that under what he wants to do, 97% of small business owners would not be hurt.
Right.
But earlier today, I was listening to Mr. Boehner, Representative Boehner, talk about how more than half of the wealthiest Americans who would fall in this tax bracket that they're talking about raising the tax rate to are small business owners. Those two numbers don't correlate. What is the truth here?
Yeah, the end of campaign season does not mean the end of silly speak. And unfortunately, that's what we're dealing with. The catch is, how do you define a small business? I mean, that's really what this boils down to. How is Obama defining a small business? How are the Republicans in Congress going to define a small business? I don't think they've come to an actual conclusion as to what that will mean. So when that decision is made, we'll see who's really going to be paying the brunt of taxes. I don't think Obama's saying to anybody who makes over $250,000 a year is a small business person, and I don't think Boehner is saying you have to be a millionaire, but that's a definition they're going to have to work out.
Okay, let's listen to Mr. Boehner here, John Boehner, as he talks about how he wants, he wants President Obama to lead.
I don't want to box myself in. I don't want to box anybody else in. I think it's important for us to come to an agreement with the president, but this is his opportunity to lead.
All right, so Speaker Boehner there calling on the president to lead. Obviously, the president's trying to do that. Speaker Boehner's only willing to give up so much. There was something else that he talked, when he talks about revenue increases on the table and that they're willing maybe to finally give and take there a little bit. I'm wondering, when he says tax reform, what does that equate to? I mean, if he's talking about eliminating reductions at the end of the day, or deductions, at the end of the day, somebody is still getting a tax increase.
Look, somebody's going to pay more. We have a deficit, and we can argue about who ran up the deficit. We can argue, was it the stimulus? Was it George Bush? Was it the wars? Who knows? But the fact of the matter is, it's got to get paid. And so I think Boehner has come to the very realistic conclusion at this point that, you know, we're going to have to pay it. We can't cut our way out of it entirely. And I think Barack Obama has come to the conclusion that, look, you know, I'm going to be willing to negotiate and bring more people to the table than maybe I was willing to do beforehand.
Do you think, is there a threshold, like a numerical threshold that people are uncomfortable with? Say, people will say, you know what, I'm fine, I'll pay 30%, I'll pay 35%. But you get into the 40% and up, there are a lot of people who say, I'm not willing to pay that much in taxes. Is that why they try to do these whole, you know, eliminations of deductions and whatnot, because they don't actually raise that number?
Exactly. Well, here's the thing. Most people can't tell you what percentage of their overall income that they're paying in taxes, but they can tell you what their deductions are. They can tell you, I take this out for kids, I take this out for school, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where we really get into the weeds. You know, what are the deductions that we can get rid of? Like I said, it reminds me of the second debate where Mitt Romney said, we're going to fix things by getting rid of deductions, and Obama asked him, well, what are those deductions going to be? That's what this discussion is going to be about, defining small business and defining the deductions we can get rid of.
Okay, but the other thing that Speaker Boehner was saying is that we need to clean up the tax code.
Right.
What one or two elements do you see are the biggest elements that need to be refreshed?
Well, one, I think that a lot of Republicans and even Democrats have asked for a simplification of the tax code. Not so much getting rid of deductions, but making it easier to identify where those deductions are. And also, you know, less taxes on income. I mean, look, when Republicans say we want to simplify the tax code, they're like, I don't want to pay as much taxes on the income that I bring home, because fundamentally, the less people pay in taxes, the more they spend.
All righty. Jason, thank you so much. Jason Johnson sticking with us here. We appreciate it, and we're going to be back in just a moment to talk more about this fiscal cliff. How close are we to it?